the federal government has unveiled a new passport design. So I guess out of necessity, we needed to take historical context and pictures and imagery out of our passport and instead replace them with more nature. How fitting for the climate alarmism agenda that the feds moved forward with this. So here, yeah, we have, I think this is the CBC's article, which I had pulled up and now, of course, it's gone. So it says Canada's passport is getting a makeover. So it already did, with a new design that will feature more natural landscapes and wildlife and fewer Canadian historical moments and monuments. And they tried to take the feedback of what Canada represents. Fraser said that's the Refugees and Citizenship Minister, Sean Fraser. And there's one part of this article that I wanted to point out on that exact note. It's that the Royal Canadian Legion criticized, this is about halfway down the page, criticized the redesign for removing an image of the Vimy Ridge Memorial. And they quote, "We are disappointed by the decision to remove an image that signifies the sacrifices made for the very sort of freedom that the passport provides," the Legion said in a media statement. And so it's funny that at the same time that the government is trying to improve their imagery, they're taking away imagery that symbolizes the exact reason why we are able to have the freedom of movement that the passport sort of encompasses.
What an atrocity. Tamara, I'm going to call it like the umpire. I applaud the government for enhancing the security features of the passport. That's fine. Technology advances, and we need to make sure that the right people are getting into the country. But here's the question I have for you, my friend. Why? Why remove the Vimy Ridge Memorial? Why remove the great Canadian hero, Terry Fox? This is yet again the blackface liberals eradicating Canada's history. I mean, come on, animals and seascapes and what have you. That is atrocious. It means nothing. Those landscapes could be basically any country in the same hemisphere that we're in, but there's only one Vimy Ridge Memorial. There's only one Terry Fox, God bless his soul. And it's never been explained why you had to remove that, in addition to putting in the enhanced security elements. It's amazing. I'm looking at the cover. Here's my passport. It's incredible that the coat of arms existed. And look at these drawings. I mean, these aren't exactly, Tamara, to me, they look like just one step removed from stickmen. I'm a crap artist. I could draw that if you gave me enough
Yeah, the
time.
rainbows. There's a lot of weird sort of modern new age imagery happening. But I think that the whole basis of the redesign, as you mentioned, David, was this new security feature. And if you go back to this CBC article, I guess about 3/4 of the way down. So they detail what the new security features are. And it says that the new passport includes state-of-the-art security features designed to keep Canadians' identities safe, such as a polycarbonate data page, a technology similar to Canada's driver's licenses. And the passport holder's personal information will now be laser engraved instead of being printed with ink, making the data page more durable and resistant to tampering and counterfeiting. And then you can see there that they have that visible chip and antenna. So yep. It's literally a digitized passport.
But Tamara, that aside, and whether whatever side you're on in terms of the digitized passport, digitized currency, what have you, I'm just saying that if this was their directive to go ahead with this, fine. But why did it mean to erase Canadian history, to get rid of the Vimy Ridge Memorial and Terry Fox? That I don't understand. And have these, there's a moose, and there, there's, what is that, a duck, I guess?
Our goose? No, it's the Canadian goose.
You can barely tell. I understand there's an illustration of a squirrel gathering nuts. And it reminded me.
Very Canadian.
Yeah, last month, Lady Menzoid gave me this. It's a birthday card. It's your birthday, and as Scotty the squirrel would say, look what happened. See it. he's moving his nuts up and down. It's like, why isn't this part of our Canadian passport? By the way, it says you're not old enough as long as you can remember where your nuts are. Happy birthday. I know where the nuts are. The cashews are on the top shelf next to the peanut butter.
Oh,
Anyway,
Lady Menzies,
what
Lady
I'm saying
Menzies.
is that
I
this
don't
is
know if she,
insidious.
I don't know if she consented to you sharing your birthday card. That's that's some personal information there, David.
Well, the first
Anyway,
thing I checked
you
was the
know,
price, $8.99. That gets a thumbs up.
wow, how's that for inflation? I think that the whole idea that this redesign needed to happen was, of course, to implement this chip, this security chip, and further fuel the digitization of everything. We're all going to be interconnected into the Internet of Things, and if you aren't familiar with that technology or what I'm referring to, you can just quite literally take to any search engine and type in the Internet of Things. But I think that the imagery and the removal of the historical context and features is kind of a distraction to that bigger issue, which is the moving forward with this digitization of everything, our whole society, the restructuring of our society to be digitally centric. And it's just further like this is what Marxists do, really, though, is remove that kind of historical context, those figures, that imagery, and replace it with benign things like nature. And it
Yeah.
really is all just related to the agendas that the liberals are pushing forward, this surveillance system, the surveillance state, but also under the guise of being, for the climate. And look at us, we're Canada now. We have all this climate imagery in our passport. So we care and we want to be green and we want to respect the environment and the earth and the animals. And I'm not saying that don't do any of those things, but it's all being used to usher in this surveillance state, tax people out of their yahoos. And for what? So that the oligarchs and the leaders can still jet set across the country and the world and eat their filet mignon, have their steak, and we're supposed to sit at home with our chip and eat the bugs. And if we don't, then our social credit score is plummeting because we had too much beef this week.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe
that's a bit of a rant, but
we'll all have one social credit identity card. It's your everything, and how better to keep control of us. By the way, the last illustrations that we're going by, is it just me, Tamara? But does that remind you of those cheesy black velvet paintings? All the bulldogs sitting around playing poker, smoking cigars. Look at that. I mean, that's what you go to the variety store if you forgot to buy mom a birthday present and all the malls are closed, and this is what you buy for $20, and you hope she's going to forgive you under the auspices of, well, it's the thought that counts. But that is the Legion is well within its rights to be offended. I understand they weren't consulted about the dropping of the Vimy Ridge Memorial because
of course, why would they?
Oh, yeah. Blackface knows what's best for all of us, even those in the military and those who served and those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Yeah, blackface knows better. What a disgrace. I wonder if there's anything. I mean, they're getting public backlash on this, Tamara. And I will say it's apolitical. I see it on the left and the right that this is I mean, who has a problem with the Vimy Ridge Memorial? Who has a problem with Terry Fox? This transcends political boundaries. And maybe since they haven't started printing these, this can be addressed. There can be a fix. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the media does. Usually the media is just the cheerleaders for whatever the government, especially the federal government, Justin Trudeau liberals, they just cheerlead whatever he does and fall in line and ask for more of whatever the flavor of the day is. So maybe with some media pushback, we'll see. But what I'm also really interested in finding out here is just how much this redesign cost Canadians. So we had to implement this chip somehow, right? We had to develop this microchip into the passports, and so that would probably came with a hefty price tag. But just the graphic design on this alone, I think that we have actually filed an access to information request. And for anyone who doesn't know, we do extensive access to information requests all the time to government entities and institutions. And so you can check out those reports at rebelinvestigates.com. And so usually it's about 30 days unless they try to filibuster it. I've had an access to information request take up to 2 years to get back, which was to do with some deaths in long-term care throughout the COVID hysteria. So this one I would imagine would be back within the month or so, but we have filed an access to information request, to my knowledge, to find out just how much this costs Canadian taxpayers. And I think that this has been an ongoing thing since the Conservative government was in. I think this has been in the works for about 10 years. So that's
Oh, then
I don't remember where I read that, but it's not a new thing. Like, this wasn't just unveiled, in the last week or two.
Oh, then Tamara, scratch my idea of a redo. If it took 10 years, I don't think we have the appetite to wait till 2033. And one last thing on this before we move on. This whole idea of all these nature scenes, with geese and squirrels and deer. Do any Canadians need to be reminded of the nature of Canada? I live in a very urban environment. Let me tell you, I see nature 24/7 at Casa Menzoid. Chipmunks, squirrels, skunks. I'm so underground with nature. There's a raccoon that has this habit of climbing up my shed in the middle of the night. I'm going to catch him one day, I swear. And he basically does his business on the roof of the shed, leaving his calling card. So I reach out to our viewers. Does anyone know one of those raccoon removal services? That's my affinity with nature, okay? I don't want these critters on my passport. I'm already overwhelmed by them at my house. But
that's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.